All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're talking about something that almost all of us run into on a path of personal growth, but we might not even have a name for it. It's called spiritual attachment. It's this really subtle but super powerful force that can mess with our inner world in ways we'd never expect. So we're going to pull back the curtain and see how it really works.
You know that feeling, right? You're meditating and suddenly, bam, total peace. Or you have this moment of just profound connection and bliss. And what's the first thing your mind does? It goes, oh wow, this is it. How do I keep this? How can I bottle this up and make it last forever? Well, that instinct, that urge to grab onto it, that's exactly what we're talking about today.
And that desire to hold on, it leads us straight into our first big idea, what we can call the spiritual cling. It's such a strange paradox, isn't it? The idea that our most amazing, positive, blissful spiritual experiences can actually become a kind of trap, an attachment that holds us back from the very freedom we're looking for.
Now, we all get material attachment. Wanting a fancy car, more money, that kind of thing. It's obvious. But spiritual attachment? Oh, it's much sneakier. It's not about physical stuff. It's about clinging to ideas and states, grasping onto a blissful feeling, a big insight you had, or even the identity of being a so-called awakened person. It's the exact same mental habit of grasping, just aimed at a much more refined target.
So if this pattern of grasping is the problem, what exactly is attachment, at its core? Well, to figure that out, we don't actually need some new age diagnosis. We can look way, way back to an ancient one that pretty much nailed it.
And that diagnosis comes down to a single word, tanha. It's a word from the ancient Pali language, and it literally means thirst or craving. And it just perfectly describes that mental tick we all have of desperately grabbing for things that feel good while trying to push away anything that feels bad. And in Buddhism, this is seen as a root cause of our suffering. Why? Well, because we're trying to freeze-frame life, trying to hold on to experiences that by their very nature are constantly changing and flowing away. Okay, so we've got this classic definition. Attachment is the problem, and we need to solve it. But what if the problem itself is based on a fundamental misunderstanding? We're about to make a huge pivot here and look at this through a totally different lens, what's called the non-dual question. And trust me, it challenges the whole idea of a me who's attached to begin with.
This brings us to a really crucial shift. Non-dual just means not two. It's a perspective that suggests the deep separation we feel between me the thinker and my experience over there isn't quite as real as it seems. So what happens when we look at attachment from this much wider, more zoomed-out view?
Well, it leads us to these two frankly radical questions. First, who is there to attach? And second, what is there to attach to? You see, this whole line of questioning pokes holes in our basic assumption that there's some solid, separate me inside who's doing the attaching and a solid, separate thing out there to be attached to. The non-dual perspective suggests this whole setup is just a story we're telling ourselves. Now, I know this can sound really abstract, maybe a little out there, but the process of attachment isn't just a philosophical idea. It's something you can literally feel. It is an embodied, sensory experience that has a very distinct signature in your body. Let's walk through this chain reaction. So first, a pleasant experience happens. Instantly, the mind slaps a label on it. This is good. I like this. Right after that, a desire pops up. More of this, please. And then, and this is the key part, that desire shows up physically. It becomes this tangible, energetic pull, almost like a tension in the body. It's not just a thought anymore, it's a physical event. And we can get super specific about what this feels like. For you, it might be a tightness in your chest, or maybe a kind of buzzing excitement in your nervous system, or just a general sense of grasping or clutching, an energetic pull toward a thought or a feeling. And notice how your attention gets lasered in, focused outward on the thing it wants. This is happening in your body, not just in your head. Okay, this brings us to the real heart of it all, the big reveal. We've seen attachment as a concept, and we've explored it as a physical feeling. But now, we can see it as something else entirely, just a mental story. This is where we get to unmask the illusion. Just let that one land for a second. Attachment exists only as a story the mind tells. What this means is that the thing we've been calling attachment, this big, scary problem, it isn't some fundamental reality. It's a narrative. It's a label the mind invents to make sense of a bunch of sensations and thoughts happening all at once. Look at how this breaks down. On one side, you have the raw phenomena, the actual energy, the sensations, the thoughts, just arising. By themselves, they don't mean anything. They're just weather.
But then on the other side, you have the conceptual overlay. That's the mind stepping in, bundling all those raw feelings together and slapping a title on it. This is attachment, and it's a problem I need to fix. The story is literally created after the fact.
So the most important takeaway is this. The experience, the raw energy, the actual sensations is absolutely real. You are feeling it, no doubt. But the story you tell about it, the label you call it, like, I am so attached, that is not an inherent truth. It's an interpretation, it's a mental habit.
So what? If attachment is just a story, what does that actually mean for us? What are the practical implications? Well, this brings us to our final section, what it means to actually see through this story and find the incredible freedom that's waiting on the other side.
This changes the entire goal of our practice. You see, the common approach is to treat attachment like an enemy. We have to fight it, eliminate it, get rid of it. But the non-dual insight suggests a completely different path. The goal isn't to fight the story, it's to simply see that it is a story, to recognize its flimsy, made-up, illusory nature.
And this leads to a really beautiful paradox. The moment you genuinely see that attachment is just a concept, just a story, and not some solid thing you have to wrestle with, that is the very moment it loses its grip on you. It starts to dissolve all by itself, without you having to do anything to get rid of it. Freedom comes from recognition, not from resistance. And so we'll leave you with this final question to just sit with. In a world where every single experience is temporary, where everything is flowing, what happens when you finally stop trying to grasp the ungraspable? When you just let life flow through you and as you, without needing to hold on to any of it? The answer isn't something I can tell you. It's something you can only find in your own direct experience. Thanks so much for exploring this with us today.